The shuttle shook lightly as it entered the orbit of Kyrlia Prime, the capital planet of the Aerolith Empire. Human eyes, used to the soft blues and greens of Earth, widened in awe at the city that sprawled beneath them. Towers of shimmering crystal rose like glass spires from the planet's surface, connected by light bridges that pulsed with energy. Rivers of neon light crisscrossed the air, and flying vehicles weaved effortlessly between structures. It was a vision of technology and beauty far beyond what humans had imagined. Captain Joran Malik, a human engineer and diplomat, adjusted his seatbelt and glanced out the viewport. His heart raced. He had been chosen as humanity's representative, a rare honor, but also a monumental responsibility. The humans had only recently made contact with the Aerolith Empire, and first impressions mattered. He had to show that humans were clever, capable, and trustworthy. A chime echoed in the shuttle. Approaching landing coordinates. "Please prepare for docking," the ship's AI announced in a calm, mechanical voice. Joran exhaled slowly and straightened his posture. He had rehearsed his introductions, his manners, and even his compliments. He wanted to make a good impression on Queen Aerolith herself, a ruler said to be both brilliant and discerning. As the shuttle doors opened, a breeze carrying a strange, sweet scent met him. The landing platform overlooked the capital city, and below, robotic assistants moved like synchronized dancers, maintaining the immense structures. Joran stepped out cautiously, marveling at the scale and precision of everything. "Welcome to Kyrlia Prime," a melodic voice said. Joran turned sharply to see a humanoid figure approaching. Her skin shimmered faintly like polished silver, and her eyes were deep violet, intelligent and calculating. She moved with perfect grace, and her presence alone seemed to command attention. Joran felt a pang of nervousness. This was Queen Aerolith. "I am honored to be here, Your Majesty," Joran said, bowing slightly. He felt small in comparison, but he forced himself to meet her gaze. The Queen smiled, a gesture that held warmth but also challenge. "We have heard of your skills, Captain Malik. Your ingenuity is said to be unusual among your kind. I would like to show you something special, something that even my top engineers have struggled to perfect." They arrived at a massive facility on the outskirts of the capital. The building was alive with activity. Engineers of various alien species worked on intricate machines, some no larger than a human hand, others towering as tall as buildings. Holographic projections floated above consoles, displaying schematics and simulations. "This is our Center for Planetary Engineering," Queen Aerolith explained. "Here, we transform worlds, nurture life where there was none, and harness energy in ways most civilizations cannot imagine. But even with all our knowledge, there are limits. Sometimes it takes a fresh perspective to see what we cannot." The idea that the Queen wanted his perspective was intimidating. Humans were known for adaptability, but in a room full of geniuses whose minds were sharpened over millennia, he could feel the weight of expectation pressing down on him. "You admire this work?" the Queen asked. Yes," Joran replied honestly. "It's incredible. The scale, the precision, I've never seen anything like it. Your team has achieved what I thought only theoretical civilizations could imagine." To see the technology up close meant stepping into a place few outsiders had ever entered, risking exposure to dangers he could not even imagine. But it was also a chance to prove himself, to demonstrate that humans could rise to challenges no one expected them to. I would be honored," he managed to say, forcing his voice to sound steady. The Queen led him into the facility. The air smelled faintly of ozone and warm metal, and the hum of machinery filled the space like a living heartbeat. Before them stood the central marvel, a massive device, crystalline and metallic, its surfaces etched with glowing symbols. It pulsed with energy, sending waves of light that danced across the room. "This," she said, gesturing toward the machine, "is the Terraforma engine. It can reshape a planet's atmosphere, soil, and oceans. With it, barren worlds can bloom with life in a matter of years. Yet, despite our knowledge, it is temperamental. Even my best engineers hesitate to approach it without careful preparation." Its structure seemed alive, constantly adjusting as if it were thinking, reacting to the room, to the people observing it. "It's beautiful," he breathed. "The way it flows, the symmetry, it's more than a machine. It feels almost alive." "Few see its elegance. You have a rare perception, Captain. Many engineers rely solely on readings and simulations, but sometimes intuition reveals what analysis cannot." Data flickered in his mind, unorganized yet fascinating, energy flows, material densities, patterns of movement. He realized that even the Queen's engineers might not detect these small irregularities as quickly as a human mind might in the moment. "You feel that?" Queen Aerolith asked. "Yes," Joran said slowly. "It's almost like it's responding, not just mechanically, but intelligently. It's subtle, but I think I can sense a small inefficiency in its core energy distribution." He spoke cautiously, outlining a minor modification in the energy conduits, a change that would allow the engine to self-stabilize under extreme planetary conditions. As he explained, he noticed the Queen's expression shift from curiosity to interest. "Very well," she said finally. "If your suggestion proves valid, it could save countless years of effort. Are you prepared to work alongside my engineers? Sometimes the greatest discoveries are hidden in moments of uncertainty." He would need every ounce of ingenuity, courage, and quick thinking he possessed. The room buzzed with energy as he prepared to engage with the machine. Lights flickered, instruments hummed, and holographic schematics floated around him like constellations. He glanced at Queen Aerolith, who watched him with a mixture of expectation and amusement. For a moment, time seemed to stretch. He realized that this was more than a test of skill, it was a test of humanity itself. The eyes of his species, newly recognized in the galaxy, were upon him. Every choice, every observation, every action mattered. Joran took a deep breath. He had crossed the threshold into a new world, one where humans could either shine or falter, but he was determined. He would prove that humans, though young in the galactic hierarchy, were capable of brilliance, courage, and insight. The first step had been taken, and the adventure of humanity among the stars was just beginning. Joran stood at the edge of the terraforma engine, his hand still lingering on the cool, pulsing surface. Around him, alien engineers moved with precise coordination, adjusting panels and monitoring holographic readouts. Their skin glowed faintly in rhythm with the engine's hum, a natural response of their species to high-energy devices. Every movement was fluid, efficient, and exact, yet Joran noticed subtle hesitation in some of them as they watched him. Humans were new to the Empire, and his presence among their most brilliant minds was both unusual and unnerving. Queen Aerolith observed from a few meters away, her violet eyes sharp, calculating. She had seen many engineers fail to grasp the machine's behavior, even with centuries of experience, yet she felt a quiet curiosity about this human. There was something different in his approach, a mix of intuition, adaptability, and cautious boldness, traits that, in her judgment, might make him invaluable. "Captain Malik," she said, her voice calm but commanding, "you may start. Feel free to suggest adjustments as you see fit. My engineers will follow your guidance, and I expect honesty above all else." He had spent his entire career solving problems with limited resources and incomplete information, but this was on a scale he had never faced before. Still, he reminded himself, humans thrived where others hesitated. Adaptability was his advantage. "Let's begin," he said. He approached the nearest console and studied the holographic projections. Streams of energy flowed through the engine like rivers of liquid light. Each conduit shimmered with activity, feeding different planetary simulations displayed above. His eyes scanned for anomalies, inefficiencies, or patterns that seemed off. "It seems the primary energy conduit is slightly overloaded when the planetary simulation reaches maximum stress," Joran observed aloud. "The system attempts to compensate by redistributing energy, but the feedback loop is unstable. If left unchecked, it could destabilize the entire engine. The correction is reactive, not predictive. If we adjust the energy allocation slightly upstream, we can prevent the overload before it happens. It's a minor change, but it should stabilize the simulation entirely. By rerouting a small portion of energy through these tertiary channels, we can create a balancing effect. The engine will then handle maximum planetary stress without reaching unstable thresholds. Essentially, it becomes self-regulating instead of reactive. Proceed if you believe it is safe." A holographic planet appeared above the central console, a barren world of gray and brown. Streams of light began to flow from the engine's conduits into the simulation. The planet started to change. Clouds formed, rivers appeared, and patches of greenery began to sprout. Joran held his breath as the simulation reached peak stress. Tectonic shifts, atmospheric changes, and energy spikes tested the engine's limits. The conduits pulsed in perfect rhythm, redistributing energy precisely as he had predicted. "Impressive," one of the alien engineers said. "The predictive adjustments are stabilizing the system." I did not expect this outcome. Sometimes that leads to solutions others might miss, even with greater knowledge. Not only had he stabilized the engine, but he had also demonstrated something deeper. Humans could offer insight and ingenuity even where advanced civilizations had struggled. Suddenly, a ripple of alarm swept through the engineers. A new planetary simulation appeared on another hologram, one larger and more complex than the first. It was a desert world with violent storms and unstable magnetic fields. "This one is volatile," Joran said, studying the projections. "The engine's current configuration cannot maintain stability here without overloading the secondary conduits. I can attempt another modification, but it will require precise timing and constant monitoring." This is a true test of skill. The desert planet simulation raged with storms and shifting landscapes, yet the engine held steady under Joran's guidance. The holographic planet slowly transformed, sands giving way to oases, magnetic fields stabilizing, and weather patterns balancing. One engineer who had been skeptical of Joran's ideas spoke up. "The humans' modifications are working. The simulation is stabilizing beyond expectations. It is an honor to contribute." The room filled with quiet murmurs and data analysis. Joran stepped back, allowing the engineers to input readings and verify stability. Queen Aerolith approached him. "Your intuition and courage are admirable, human, but remember the galaxy is not without envy and rivalry. Success can be dangerous as well as rewarding." "I will proceed with caution." Recognition from the Queen of the Aerolith Empire was more than he had imagined when he first boarded the shuttle. Yet he reminded himself, this was only the beginning. The challenges ahead would test not only his skill, but humanity's reputation in the galaxy. The Queen led him to a balcony overlooking the city. Below, the city glowed with energy and life, machines working in harmony with the planet's natural rhythms. The scale of what they had achieved was breathtaking, yet Joran sensed the hidden tensions beneath the surface. "Captain Malik," the Queen said, her voice calm but firm, "there are those among my council who will question your presence and your influence. Some may attempt to discredit you, for fear that humans could upset the balance of power. I hope you are prepared for what lies ahead. Not all will welcome your ideas, even when they are correct." The court, the council, and even the engineers themselves would test him in ways he could not yet predict. Yet in that moment, he understood something profound. Humanity's strength lay not in technology, in sheer force, or in history. It lay in their ability to adapt, to think creatively, and to act boldly when the stakes were highest. And if he could show that to the galaxy, perhaps humans would no longer be seen as weak or inexperienced. They would be recognized as equals. Queen Aerolith watched him for a long moment before turning back toward the facility. "We have much work ahead, Captain. The next phase of testing will push both you and the engine to their limits. Are you ready to continue?" Joran knew that the coming days would challenge him more than any simulation, any lecture, or any mission he had ever faced. Yet he felt ready. Humans had a way of thriving where others faltered, and he would prove it here on Kyrlia Prime. As he rejoined the engineers, the Queen's voice echoed softly in his mind. Sometimes, the greatest discoveries are hidden in moments of uncertainty. Joran smiled faintly to himself. If that was true, then humanity's future among the stars was only just beginning. The days that followed tested Captain Joran Malik in ways he had never imagined. The initial excitement of working alongside Queen Aerolith and her engineers had given way to the reality of constant scrutiny. Alien supervisors watched his every move, their expressions carefully neutral but their eyes sharp with judgment. Any mistake, any misstep, could be seized upon by those who doubted humans' place in the Empire. Yet, for all the pressure, Joran thrived. Humans were not accustomed to perfection. They adapted, improvised, and learned quickly. Each day, he observed the Terraforma engine, noting patterns, weaknesses, and opportunities. The Queen allowed him increasing autonomy, but always with caution. She had seen civilizations crumble because they underestimated what was unfamiliar. With humans, she sensed potential, but also risk. On the morning of the third day, a crisis erupted. The simulation for a newly terraformed planet, a cold, rocky world with minimal atmosphere, began to behave unpredictably. Energy conduits flared, holographic readouts flashed red, and alarms echoed through the engineering hall. Alien engineers scrambled to stabilize the system, their movements precise but frantic. "Captain Malik," one shouted, "the system is nearing overload." If we do not stabilize it, the simulation will collapse, and the engine may sustain permanent damage. The secondary conduits were overloaded, and a cascade of feedback threatened to spread throughout the entire system. Calmly, he told the engineers, forcing his voice to remain steady. We can fix this, but we need to act methodically. The engine was powerful, but it had limitations, and the problem stemmed from an unexpected interaction between the core stabilizers and the planetary simulation. Joran's mind raced, recalling every principle of energy transfer, feedback loops, and system stabilization he had ever studied. Redirect the secondary conduits through the tertiary stabilizers, he instructed. But adjust the timing manually, in intervals of precise microseconds. The system cannot handle automated recalibration under these conditions. Human intuition will work better here, trust me. Slowly, the feedback began to stabilize. Red warnings turned to yellow and yellow to green. The holographic planet stopped spinning wildly, its surface settling into a pattern of mountains, valleys, and slowly forming seas. Energy pulses normalized, flowing smoothly through the conduits. A collective sigh echoed through the room. One engineer clapped Joran on the shoulder, a gesture of respect among their species. You did it, human. I have never seen this handled so swiftly and accurately. Your timing, your intuition, it is as though you can feel the machine. Few could have prevented disaster so quickly. Later that day, Joran was summoned to a private chamber within the palace. He entered cautiously, expecting a formal audience or perhaps reprimand. Instead, 2 alien council members waited for him, their expressions polite but guarded. Captain Malik, one said, your recent success has not gone unnoticed. While the Queen praises your skill, some among the council are concerned. Humans have shown ingenuity, yes, but their methods are untested on this scale. We must ensure that no single outsider can influence our empire's most powerful technologies. I am here to contribute, to learn, and to demonstrate that humans can help achieve what others cannot. He could resist asserting independence, but that would only breed distrust. Instead, he nodded. I accept. Transparency is necessary, and I welcome the guidance. I will work with your monitors to ensure everything is above reproach. But know this, Captain Malik, one misstep, and it could affect not only your position but humanity's standing with our empire. Proceed with caution. The delicate balance between demonstrating capability and gaining trust was now clearer than ever. One wrong move and the opportunity could be lost. Back in the engineering hall, the Queen approached him. I heard about the Council's concerns, she said softly. Do not let it discourage you. They test all newcomers. Humans, despite your potential, are unpredictable to them. That is their fear, not necessarily their judgment. Those who cannot see beyond conventional rules may fear you, but those who understand will recognize your value. Remember this when you are questioned. Every decision, every action, and every suggestion he made could ripple across interstellar politics. That evening, as he reviewed the day's simulations, Joran reflected on humanity's place in the galaxy. Humans were new, yet they possessed something others lacked: the ability to improvise under pressure, to think creatively when rules seemed fixed, and to act decisively when opportunity presented itself. That combination had saved the Terraforma engine today, and it would continue to serve them in the days ahead. But he also knew that proving value once was not enough. He needed to build trust, not only with the Queen, but with the Council, the engineers, and even rival factions. If humans were to claim a respected place among the stars, they could not rely on a single moment of brilliance. They had to demonstrate consistent ingenuity and reliability. The next morning brought a new challenge. Queen Aerolith personally requested that Joran observe a series of planetary simulations that had confounded her engineers. These were worlds with extreme environmental conditions, oceans of liquid methane, magnetic storms that could tear structures apart, and rocky surfaces that shifted unpredictably. You will notice patterns that my engineers cannot, the Queen said. Humans perceive chaos differently. Where others see only randomness, you may see opportunity. Every movement, every adjustment had to be precise. Hours passed, but the simulations stabilized one by one. Each success reinforced the Queen's confidence in humans and drew subtle acknowledgement from the Council monitors. By the end of the day, Joran was exhausted but exhilarated. He had demonstrated not only technical skill, but a method of thinking that was uniquely human. The Queen praised him privately, acknowledging that humans might indeed have a role in shaping the future of the galaxy. Yet, as he retired to his quarters, Joran could not shake a lingering thought. His actions had drawn attention, both favorable and wary. He knew that rival factions might seek to undermine him, exploit mistakes, or question humanity's reliability. The path ahead was not simply about demonstrating brilliance. It was about navigating a web of political tension, interstellar protocol, and cultural differences. And still, he felt an unmistakable sense of purpose. Humans had arrived in the galaxy as underdogs, underestimated by advanced civilizations. But with ingenuity, courage, and adaptability, they could prove their worth. The terraforma engine hummed softly through the walls, a reminder of the monumental task they had undertaken. Joran knew that the coming challenges would test his intellect, resilience, and leadership. But he also understood that humans were uniquely equipped to face them. Where other species relied solely on centuries of experience, humans could improvise, adapt, and discover solutions in real time. As he gazed out at the sprawling city of Kyrlia Prime, lit by the glow of countless energy networks, he felt a quiet determination. Humanity's journey in the galaxy had only begun, but every step, every insight, and every act of courage would carve a place for them among the stars. The Queen's words echoed in his mind. Sometimes the greatest discoveries are hidden in moments of uncertainty. Joran smiled faintly. He had faced uncertainty, and he had succeeded. The next trials would be greater, the stakes higher, but humans were ready to rise, and rise they would. The day began with a tension in the air that Joran could feel immediately upon entering the engineering hall. The Queen's personal monitors were in place, and the Council's representatives observed every move he made, their faces carefully neutral. The terraforma engine hummed softly, seemingly aware of the heightened scrutiny. Joran understood the delicate balance he now walked. One misstep could jeopardize not only his standing but the reputation of all humanity within the Empire. Despite the pressure, he focused on the work ahead. New planetary simulations awaited, worlds with extreme conditions, each more challenging than the last. One was an ice-covered planet where winds ripped across jagged cliffs, another a volcanic world with rivers of molten rock, and a third a low-gravity planet with unpredictable magnetic storms. As he approached the first console, an engineer whispered to him, a note of unease in their voice. "Captain Malik, some of the council members are openly skeptical. They doubt that a human can handle these simulations safely. They are watching for mistakes." Streams of data cascaded across the holographic interface, representing atmospheric pressures, ice flow, and energy feedback. The simulation was delicate. Too much energy and the ice would crack catastrophically. Too little, and the planet's climate would freeze in a way that would destabilize the engine's control. Joran studied the flows, analyzing how energy was distributed. He noted subtle fluctuations in the conduits feeding the simulation and adjusted them carefully. Timing, he realized, was critical. The system could self-correct, but only partially. With small, precise interventions, he began to stabilize the ice flows. Slowly, the holographic planet calmed, snow and glaciers settling into a balanced system. One of the skeptical council members muttered, almost under their breath, "This human may be capable." Joran ignored the comment, knowing that perception mattered less than results. Next was the volcanic world. Flames of molten rock surged across the holographic surface, threatening to overload the conduits and destabilize the engine. Joran's mind worked quickly, rerouting energy to stabilize the simulated lava flows while compensating for the thermal spikes. He coordinated with the engineers, his voice calm but firm, guiding them step by step. Hours passed, but gradually the volcanic simulation stabilized. Rivers of lava flowed predictably, vents released pressure safely, and the planet maintained its atmosphere without causing feedback overload. The engineers around him exchanged astonished glances, and even the Queen allowed a small, approving nod. Finally, the low-gravity planet with magnetic storms awaited. This one was unpredictable. Storms shifted direction without warning, and the engine's energy conduits struggled to maintain equilibrium. Joran studied the patterns, noticing slight regularities in the chaos. He realized that while the storms appeared random, they followed a rhythm tied to the planet's rotation and magnetic anomalies. Adjusting the engine's harmonic outputs to match these subtle rhythms, Joran guided the simulations carefully. The storms began to stabilize, settling into predictable, manageable patterns. By the end of the session, all 3 planets were successfully simulated, each one maintained under the Terraforma engine's control without overloading the system. The Queen approached him, her violet eyes reflecting admiration and curiosity. "Captain Malik, your insight is remarkable. You see patterns that others miss and act decisively when others hesitate. Humans may be young in the galaxy, but you demonstrate qualities that rival even our most experienced engineers. I am only applying what I have learned and observing carefully. Humans have an advantage in adaptability and intuition, and I hope to use it responsibly." One of the simulations, a distant planet recently integrated into the Terraforma network, had gone critical. Energy surges threatened to destabilize the engine's secondary conduits. "Captain Malik," one engineer shouted, "the system is failing. If this continues, the simulation could collapse, and we risk damaging the engine permanently." He rushed to the console, analyzing the data. This was no ordinary fluctuation. The energy patterns suggested deliberate interference. Someone had tampered with the simulation, possibly to undermine him or the human presence in the Empire. "Who would do this?" an engineer asked nervously. Joran shook his head. "I don't know yet, but we have to stop it before it causes a chain reaction. Focus on stabilizing the conduits manually. I'll trace the interference." The Queen arrived at the scene, her presence commanding immediate attention. "Explain what is happening," she demanded. Joran took a steady breath. "Your Majesty, it appears that one of the simulations has been tampered with. The energy surges are not natural or due to mechanical error. Someone is attempting to sabotage the process, possibly to discredit humans or influence the Council against us. Captain Malik, you are taking responsibility for human and alien engineers alike. This is risky, but your confidence may inspire them. Proceed carefully." The room hummed with tension as the sabotage continued to ripple through the system. Slowly, under his direction, the simulation stabilized. The critical planet's energy surges subsided, conduits cooled, and the engine returned to a safe operational state. The Council monitors exchanged stunned looks, their doubts challenged by the humans' calm decisiveness. Queen Aerolith stepped forward, her expression unreadable. "You have managed a crisis that could have destroyed years of work," she said. "Captain Malik, this demonstrates not only skill but courage, insight, and the ability to act under pressure. The human's place in this empire is no longer a question of capability, it is a question of trust." Yet he knew the underlying threat remained. Sabotage implied that some factions sought to undermine him or humanity itself. To survive, he would need more than technical skill. He would need diplomacy, strategy, and foresight. That evening he met privately with the Queen. The city of Kyrlia Prime stretched below them, glowing with energy and life. The hum of the Terraforma engine echoed faintly through the palace walls. "You handled today admirably," she said, her voice calm but firm. "But you must understand the political implications. Those who tampered with the simulation are sending a message. Humans are not to be trusted. You will face opposition at every step, not just technical challenges but social and political ones as well. That is why you were chosen. But remember, Captain Malik, ingenuity alone is not enough. You must be aware of those who watch, of those who would manipulate fear and doubt for their own gain. Trust is earned carefully, and you must guide humanity's reputation with wisdom as well as skill." He had stabilized the engine, protected the simulations, and demonstrated human ingenuity, but he realized this was only the beginning. The coming days would test him further, not only in technical challenges, but in navigating the complexities of the Empire's politics. The next morning, he returned to the engineering hall with renewed focus. He met with the lead council monitors and the Queen's personal assistants, reviewing security measures to prevent further sabotage. Every panel, conduit, and interface was double-checked. The engineers, both human and alien, moved with a mix of determination and caution, aware that the stability of the Terraforma engine and humanity's standing depended on them. "Captain Malik," one monitor said, "we will observe every action, but we recognize that your methods are effective. We will follow your instructions for now, though we reserve the right to intervene. The engine and the simulations depend on teamwork and precision, not suspicion or fear." His actions reinforced the value of humans' adaptability, observation, and quick decision-making. By evening, the Council could no longer deny the humans' worth. Joran had not only prevented disaster, but also improved processes, making simulations safer and more efficient. The Queen acknowledged his accomplishments publicly, praising his insight and courage before the assembled engineers and monitors. The political message was clear. Humans were not merely guests or observers. They were contributors, capable of shaping the Empire's most ambitious projects. Yet Joran remained vigilant. He knew that admiration and approval could shift quickly to envy or opposition. The coming challenges would require not only skill but diplomacy, patience, and careful judgment. Humanity's journey in the Empire was no longer about survival. It was about establishing respect, trust, and lasting influence. And Joran was determined that humans would not merely survive, they would rise. The following morning, the engineering hall buzzed with anticipation. News of Captain Joran Malik's handling of the sabotage had spread throughout the palace and council chambers. Humans were no longer seen as mere guests or observers. Their actions had proven that they could think, adapt, and lead in ways the Empire's oldest engineers sometimes could not. Yet despite the praise, Joran knew the greatest challenge remained. A final test, one that would determine not only his place but humanity's reputation in the Aralith Empire. Queen Aralith entered the hall, her presence commanding silence. "Captain Malik," she said, her violet eyes scanning the room, "you have stabilized simulations, guided our engineers, and even countered sabotage. Now you face the ultimate test. A real planet untested awaits transformation. Its conditions are extreme, and its integration into the terraforma system will push the engine to its limits. You will oversee the process." Yet he reminded himself, humans thrived under pressure. Adaptability and observation were their strengths. If he focused, he could succeed. The planet appeared in the central hologram, a barren, rocky world with thin atmosphere, violent magnetic storms, and unpredictable tectonic activity. Energy spikes flickered across the engine's readouts, warning of potential overloads. Joran studied the data carefully, noting patterns in the planet's rotation, magnetic anomalies, and surface instability. "We will proceed in stages," he told the engineers, both human and alien. "First, stabilize the atmosphere. Next, regulate surface energy flows. Finally, integrate the environmental harmonics. We must act cautiously but decisively." Joran coordinated energy conduits to regulate the atmosphere. Clouds formed, gases balanced, and wind currents began to settle. Every adjustment required careful timing and precise calculation. He relied not only on the engine's data but also on intuition, recognizing subtle patterns that no algorithm could predict. Slowly, the atmosphere stabilized and a faint glow spread across the planet's surface. Queen Aralith watched intently. "Excellent. You handle this with calm and clarity. Humans are more capable than I anticipated." The planet's tectonic activity was intense, shifting rock formations and causing occasional energy surges in the conduits. One misstep could overload the engine. "Focus on the primary conduits," he instructed. "Redistribute energy in small pulses, counteracting the surges. We cannot dampen everything at once. It will cause feedback. Sequential control is necessary." Finally, the last stage approached, integrating environmental harmonics. This required synchronizing the planet's atmosphere, surface, and magnetic fields with the engine's energy flows. It was complex, delicate, and high risk. "Attention," Joran said firmly. "This is the most critical part. Any misalignment could destabilize the entire engine. We must proceed carefully, monitoring every conduit and adjusting in real time." The planet pulsed under their control, trembled, then began to glow with life. Clouds moved in patterns, storms stabilized, and subtle signs of potential flora and water emerged in simulations projected by the engine. Suddenly, a sharp energy spike threatened to overload the secondary conduits. The room tensed. Joran's eyes scanned the readouts, calculating microsecond adjustments. "Divert conduits 5 through 8 into tertiary stabilizers. Adjust pulses at 3-point intervals. Now." Queen Aralith stepped forward, her expression a mixture of awe and respect. "Captain Malik, you have done what few in my empire could. Not only have you integrated a volatile planet into the terraforma system, but you have done so with calm precision and insight. Humanity has proven its value." He had not only succeeded technically, but had also demonstrated leadership, observation, and ingenuity. Humans were no longer merely observers, they were trusted contributors. The council monitors approached, their expressions more open than before. "Captain Malik," one said, "we acknowledge your success. Humans have demonstrated remarkable skill and judgment." You have earned our respect and trust. Our species thrives when challenges are greatest, and we learn quickly from experience. You have earned a place in the galaxy. For the first time, humans were recognized as equals among advanced civilizations, capable of shaping worlds, solving crises, and earning respect through intellect and action. Later, in private, Joran met with the Queen. She regarded him thoughtfully, her presence serene yet commanding. You have exceeded expectations, human. Not only have you stabilized the engine and integrated a planet, but you have also demonstrated leadership, calm judgment, and ingenuity. The Empire will remember this achievement. Collaboration is important, yet your contribution was unique. You saw patterns, acted decisively, and guided others under pressure. That is a quality humans possess in ways that even centuries of training cannot replicate. Humanity's value in the galaxy was not just in numbers or technology. It was in adaptability, creativity, and the courage to act when others hesitated. That combination had carried them through countless challenges on Earth and now had earned recognition among the stars. That evening, as he walked through the palace gardens, Joran felt a sense of quiet triumph. The city of Kyrlia Prime shimmered beneath the glow of energy networks, a testament to the Empire's advancement and the collaboration of countless minds. For the first time, humans were not outsiders. They were part of the galactic community, respected and trusted. He paused at a fountain where crystalline water flowed in harmonious patterns, reflecting the light of the city. He realized that humanity's journey among the stars was just beginning, but the first step had been monumental. Humans had shown that intelligence, adaptability, and courage could rival the most advanced civilizations, and that reputation would carry forward into the future. A soft voice spoke beside him. You have done well, Captain Malik. He turned to see Queen Aerolith standing quietly, her presence calm but powerful. Thank you, Your Majesty, he said. She regarded him with a thoughtful expression. The galaxy will watch humanity closely now. Some will fear your unpredictability, others will admire it. But one thing is certain, your people have shown potential that cannot be ignored. And perhaps one day, humans will be among the architects of worlds, shaping not only planets but the future of civilizations themselves. Their ingenuity, courage, and adaptability had earned recognition in a galaxy far beyond Earth. As he gazed out at the stars visible above Kyrlia Prime, Joran felt a sense of belonging. Humans were no longer newcomers. They were participants, contributors, and innovators. They had stepped into the galaxy not as observers but as equals, capable of leaving their mark on the universe. And for the first time, Joran truly understood the meaning of the Queen's words. Sometimes, the greatest discoveries are hidden in moments of uncertainty. Humanity had faced uncertainty and had prevailed. The future was theirs to shape, and the galaxy would never forget what humans could achieve. The Terraforma engine continued its hum in the background, a symbol of collaboration, ingenuity, and the extraordinary potential of those willing to rise to challenges. And Captain Joran Malik knew that humanity's story among the stars had only just begun. I complimented the Queen's physique. Would you like to see it up close? She asked, and I froze.